Welcome back, Tribe. So we have multiple terror attacks across the Western world with two main ones happening in the United States. Well, it's a mass shooting. They haven't called it a terror attack yet at Brown University, and including in Australia where 12 people are killed so far in Bondi Beach by confirmed Islamist jihadists, whatever you want to call them. It doesn't matter. Immigrants that came to the country because, people like Piers Morgan wants his tikka masala and spicy food. So here's the reality of what just happened, and it's so sad to see. By the way, multiple other terror attacks attempted were intercepted. 5 arrested in Germany that plan to drive more cars into Christmas markets. Take that for what you will, and who those perpetrators may be.
This whole situation has been, and so over the coming days I think it'll start to really unfold, and people will really start to feel, I guess, what has happened down here today.
I guess this will be an emotional scene for some time. We were talking to you earlier, you were saying some people had already started turning up with floral tributes, with wanting to just show their sort of...
It's just another shooter. So
they had a brave dude. Check this guy out. While the terrorist was shooting at people, a guy snuck up from behind a car and disarmed.
You've heard from someone that a civilian, someone tackled one of the gunmen. We don't know, but maybe it would. What have you heard about what happened?
Look, it could have been a plainclothes police person, sort of on the ground, because the two shooters were on a bridge. And there was a man who came up behind one of the shooters and literally tackled him and took the gun from him. And then the shooter tried to run away. But there was another shooter, so apparently they got into a bit of a... Oh, yeah, you're showing it.
We're just showing some vision of that now. So, wow. Incredibly dramatic to see that. And this man had, been standing on that bridge just firing into the crowd.
And this is, during Christmas, the festive season, which is big for Christians around the world. 2 massive attacks in December. A third one planned in Germany, intercepted. Probably more that we haven't heard about. And we have to deal with this in the Western world simply because diversity, multiculturalism, spicy food, mass migration replacement of the native population. And it's such a complete joke. We're supposed to believe our lying eyes, and the police response on these are absolutely pathetic. When you check the one in the United States, and look, there's another one here that is continuing on shooting people. He's still armed. He's the one that's photographed, for which they saw, I believe it was on X. Let me find that photo. There you go. This is him right here. This is what he looks like. This is the shooter, and his name is Naveed Akram. There you go. Passing the Iqra books and Tajweed this morning, perfecting all the rules of the Tajweed. There he is. Great. That's great. And they have so many posters showing the hypocrisy. Like, one of these men were banned in Australia and the other one wasn't. And he was banned because he wouldn't get the COVID shot. But then you let people like this across the border and you have absolutely no problem by the thousands, by the boatloads. So switching gears over of what's going on in the United States, it's this clown show.
To that effect, and so we don't want that to be alarming. We want that to be reassuring to our residents, to our visitors, and those who might be in Providence today. Right immediate to where the incident occurred yesterday, there might still be an enhanced police presence because the investigation is ongoing. But if you see police elsewhere in the city of Providence, please know that we are doing that in a proactive manner for the comfort and reassurance.
This is Josh Breslow, and I do want to get you to the latest on all of this right here. Take a look at this surveillance video that was released by investigators as they say they were looking for a person of interest or potentially a suspect here. Now, all of this, of course, out of Providence, Rhode Island, as Providence police and the mayor say that a person of interest has been taken into custody in connection with Saturday's deadly shooting on the campus of Brown University. Officials saying the person was taken into custody this morning, but it is important to note they are not calling him a suspect just yet. However,
So hours later, still no suspect, still no person of interest. This is one of the most, and by the way, Brown University in the area it's located in, strict anti-gun controls, and this still happens. And it says Rhode Island is a strict gun control state, and Brown University is a gun-free zone. Because, the Team Blue is going to come on top of this, and they're waiting. They're praying, begging. It's just a straight white male that did this. You already know how it goes. And Brown University shooter, they're saying he might be one of these because there's a huge cover-up happening. She's a nut job, this Valentina Gomez, but what she posts here is true. There's 800 plus cameras on campus alone. We have no photo of the shooter. This is on the heels of the police state, which we're being ushered into, where they tell us we need AI recognition cameras. We need them to be on every single corner. We have so much surveillance that the police state, we practically live in one. And somehow with all these cameras, with AI detection systems and all the other auxiliary cameras on the street and everywhere else, not just on campus, we still don't have a single trace of who this guy possibly could be. And he just walks off like nothing ever happened. And everybody is starting to ask questions. How is it something's not adding up? Is this all they have? Just this one camera? Somehow this is the only footage of the guy? And then people are going to start questioning this because the government seems to be botching every single thing in this entire country, from security of the state and the people to taking cases and leading them properly and, relaying information that is relevant to the public, that is pertinent and time sensitive. And now, because we have nothing hours later, we have maybe one potential in connection with something like that. The amount of conspiracy theories are about to explode. I think this is a giant psyop as far as like them botching the informational war like this, or maybe it is informational war, period. What if they are purposely being so terrible at releasing the information that their main goal is to rile up all the conspiracy theorists on the right or on the left? It doesn't matter. Just rile up the conspiracy theorists, those that had some half-truths, because the conspiracies, we have a funny meme now that says the conspiracies are just 6 months away from being conspiracy fact. What if the information on the internet is disseminated so rapidly that the truth does get revealed too quickly for the mainstream or the powers to be to control the narrative, to control the informational war? So now what they're doing is, and I don't want to call these false flags outright. What I want to say is this is potentially a prime opportunity for them to seem extremely incompetent, so that what comes next will be a massive crackdown of information and censorship online. Because it gets to a certain point where the credibility is destroyed from the inside, potentially on purpose, so much that people start to question things that normally you shouldn't even be questioning, like it's common sense. We could have video of a guy shooting somebody and people question that and say it's AI or whatever. So the informational overload and misinformation will get to such a point where now the government will weaponize the real surveillance police state that they've been building in the background and turn it inward on the United States citizen. And this is what Western governments in Europe have done already, where they can't even post anything without getting arrested. But this may be, amongst other things that are coming in the future, credibility destruction managed in a sense, so that it paves a way for a new bill to be introduced that completely takes away people's abilities to speak freely on the internet. I'm just questioning things. I have no idea. But it seems like, what are the options here? Either the FBI and the police and the government are so inept that they have themselves destroyed their own credibility, or two, these mass murderers and killers are just getting so good at evading police and law enforcement authorities that they can just walk away from a mass shooting somehow, and we have no information on, nothing traced, no triangulating cell phones, no weird triangulations of cell phone pings, moving through the building in and out. It's like we can't use AI-powered software to somehow pinpoint that exact triangulation of, like, there was a cell phone, there's nothing, okay, no cell phone on him, maybe. All the surveillance cameras, if you have this video, don't you have thousands of others that you could stitch together back in time and then reproduce the steps that this man took? So where is the rest of the footage? Do we not see him get into some sort of car with a license plate, something being tracked? You mean all the cameras on every intersection, 800 plus cameras on campus, cameras everywhere, from stores to other CCTV cameras just randomly from gas stations and everywhere else. Not a single camera has given us any information hours later about who this man is. This is, by the way, the most power, the most informational control, and the most surveillance the state has ever had. Yet it seems like it's becoming increasingly impossible to catch these guys. We only caught the man who shot Charlie Kirk because his parents turned him in. How are we going to end up catching this one? They have someone who said, a person of interest. What does that even mean? We are witnessing the erosion of the institutions that we're supposed to have confidence in. What confidence can you possibly have from the institutions when guys can walk around just like this, pretty much doing whatever they want, and the only way you'll get found out is if somebody rats on you? So we have defeated the exact system that we've built, taking away our rights, freedoms, and liberties, to usher in security by a guy whose face is covered by a mask and he's wearing a jacket and gloves. Okay. Now, this is just, on one end, the security failure of our security state, but on the other end, what's going on in Australia is just furthermore evidence of mass immigration failing to integrate horribly, and Christians in Western countries are now paying the price. And if you look here, it says Christmas market targeted. Germany stops another Islamist terror attack in Bavaria. 5 men allegedly planning mass murder. German authorities quietly foiled an Islamic terror plot aimed at a Christmas market this week. Who was arrested? It wasn't white men. It was 3 Moroccans, 1 Egyptian, and 1 Syrian. These aren't, and he's correct here, these aren't online edgelords, white supremacists, alt-right, not keyboard jihad, none of that stuff. It was migrants that came in with open borders that the government housed, fed, provided stipends and welfare to. Police say the group was already deep into operational planning, targets scoped, communications monitored, timing aligned with peak holiday crowds. The goal was familiar, as we just saw in Bondi Beach in Australia. Maximum bodies, maximum symbolism, maximum panic. So these Christmas markets right here, these very same kinds of markets, by the way, that, and sad to say, you can't even walk through anymore in Germany without massive cinder blocks meant to stop vehicles. Massive blocks of cement has to be placed in your low trust society that was previously high trust, just to keep your citizens safe from not getting run over and 50, 60, 100 getting killed at a time because of the very people you let in and you let survive in your nation through the welfare. This is why re-immigration, why mass deportation, why send them all home, and far-right parties in Europe is such a talk of the town right now. This is why the liberal establishment essentially established after World War II, the liberal democracy, is crumbling before our very eyes under its own hypocrisy. It may have started off good with great intentions, but like all ideologies, has been co-opted and has metastasized into a cancer that is destroying the very societies it's meant to protect. The new liberal order, liberal democratic order, is failing before our very eyes, causing the streets to be unsafe and getting its citizens killed. Everybody is sick of this. There are even more videos that I was just scrolling through 10 minutes. Yet another knife attack on a bus. Again, an immigrant takes out a long knife. It looks like a kitchen knife. He puts it behind his hand just like that and just stabbed a dude in the head or the neck area right here. Just randomly stabbed him. The dude is sitting there in the seat facing the other direction, and a guy is behind you and just goes like this on your neck. You can't even take the bus. Public transport is now a crapshoot of whether you live or you die. You're gambling with your life because your government has betrayed you by allowing invaders to come into your country without any checks, without any verifications, All because people like Piers Morgan that live in white majority areas behind gates with, active security will tell you the tikka masala is so good. But what about the cuisine? I love my ethnic food while your children are being massacred on the beach, massacred in schools, massacred at Christmas markets. And they tell you that if you say this out loud, you are either racist, Islamophobic, isms and ists of all kinds. You're a white supremacist, an Islamophobe. This exact shit that's happening right here, especially, it's not an accident, it's around Christmas time. As these increase and as more and more people die, Europe for sure is in a powder keg right now that is just ready. It's simmering. It's ready to absolutely explode. Far right, they call them far right, but right-leaning parties and governments are being elected before our very eyes, and there will be massive repercussions. This only galvanizes the already subdued, cucked out white population. They need a reason to rally. They need more examples. It's not enough that there are grooming gangs. It's not enough that women are being targeted individually here and there. The woman that just got thrown acid in her face. It's not enough that this is just happening in small numbers. Massive scaled assaults, mass tragedies like this that you cannot ignore, the media cannot cover up, and your eyes do not deceive you as your countrymen are being gunned down. This is unfortunately where Europe has ended up and what it's going to take for pacified Europeans to wake up. Just saying. Anyways, this is what's been going on recently. There's a ton of updates coming down the pipeline. It is highly suspect why we have no information, nothing, no descriptors of the person who attacked at Brown University. It's a complete shit show in the rest of Europe. Not much more needs to be said. If you search more, or I would even say just wait a few more weeks, especially around Christmas, there may be more and more of these attacks that are being planned and actively foiled, or some may be successful. Unfortunately, don't forget, yes, the immigrants that are let into the country are a problem because they do not assimilate. And an even bigger problem, always, will be that your government has allowed this to happen. You cannot forget that. The people you voted for in power has allowed this to happen. You should not be able to cross borders so freely without being vetted and being checked. You should not be able to come into a country throwing away your passport, your identification, lying and saying you're 15 years old when you're a grown-ass man, 22 or something like that. This is an utter failure of the liberal institution for which is governing us. And I just want to leave it at that. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in, you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Avoid crowded places. It is unfortunate. That is terrorism. It is winning. You have to protect yourself and your family. You can't even enjoy open streets anymore, the Christmas spirit, any festivities. New Year's is also a prime target. Be extremely careful going into very crowded, even touristy areas. Just please think twice. Unfortunately, that's the world that we live in.